You suddenly stop. In the middle of a crowded party, everyone is laughing, music is blasting, but your eyes get stuck in one corner, the fake edge in someone's laughter, the avoidance in someone's eye contact. And your mind starts, is that person truly happy? Is all of this just a mask? Am I also wearing the same kind of mask? Or perhaps you are standing in the shower, warm water is flowing, but your thoughts are running cold and slow. This water is flowing just like time. Where am I going? Is all of this meaningful? Or is it just a loop of routine? You turn off the water, but the questions do not stop. Or at 3 o'clock in the night. The phone screen is glowing, an old chat is open. On one simple, haha, reply you spend 20 minutes analyzing, was that person genuinely laughing? Or was it just politeness? Did I say something boring? Is that person now thinking I am oversensitive? You scroll, but your mind keeps scrolling, past conversations, future, what-if, scenarios, that awkward moment from childhood. Everything starts connecting. If these moments are daily scenes from your life. If it feels to you that the world is moving in fast forward, but you are thinking in slow motion, then this video is for you. You are a deep thinker. Your mind is not broken, it is built differently. It is a quiet storm behind your eyes, a constant hum of thoughts you cannot escape. This is not mere overthinking. This is your way of feeling existence deeply, seeing patterns others miss, craving understanding in a world addicted to noise and distraction. But this depth is both your superpower and your curse. You think too much, feel too much, care too much, and sometimes it isolates you. Deep thinkers often learn to hide their depth, to fit into a world that moves faster than their mind does. They nod along in conversations, even when they disagree. They smile politely while their thoughts wander galaxies away. And after everyone leaves, that's when their real dialogue begins inside their own head. There's a loneliness in that kind of inner life because deep thinkers often crave connection, but only the kind that feels real. And genuine connection requires vulnerability. But not everyone wants to dive that deep. So deep thinkers stay guarded. They become selective, observing quietly until someone shows signs of depth, too. Only then do they open the door. And when they do, it's not halfway. It's all the way. They'll tell you their fears, their hopes, the things they don't even tell themselves out loud because deep thinkers don't do halfway hearts. But that vulnerability can backfire. Because when you see the world in shades of gray, you expect others to as well. You assume people mean what they say, that honesty is the baseline. But not everyone operates from that depth. So when reality doesn't align with their expectations, it hurts more. Not because they're fragile, but because they've invested so much meaning into everything. To a deep thinker, even a small betrayal feels cosmic. Even a brief kindness can restore their faith in humanity. Everything matters. And that's the double-edged sword. For deep thinkers, every thought is alive. Every emotion echoes. They can't numb themselves even when they want to. They feel the weight of things that others overlook. The way a stranger avoids eye contact. The way laughter fades when the moment's over. The way people promise forever while already thinking of tomorrow. They don't just see what is, they see what could have been. There's a theory in psychology called depth processing. The tendency to encode experiences with rich meaning and emotional associations. This means that when deep thinkers remember something, they don't just recall facts. They recall how it felt, what it symbolized, what it might have meant. So they carry memories not as moments but as entire ecosystems of feeling. That's why nostalgia hits them harder. It's why they can listen to a song and suddenly be back in a version of themselves that doesn't exist anymore. But this isn't just emotional intensity. It's the way their brain is wired. Studies show that people who engage in reflective and abstract thinking have stronger neural connections between the emotional and analytical parts of the brain. They literally think and feel at the same time. That's why they can't just turn off their thoughts. Their emotions are woven into their logic. To them, feeling is thinking, and sometimes that makes them misunderstood. People might call them distant or dramatic or too complicated. But what they really is aware. They see the hidden structure behind everything. How fear disguises itself as anger. How love hides behind pride. How people project what they can't accept. And once you see that deeply, it's hard to unsee it. It's hard to live simply when you've realized how complex everything is. Deep thinkers often struggle to be present, not because they don't want to be, but because their mind exists in timelines. They replay the past, analyze the present, and imagine 100 versions of the future all at once. It's exhausting, but it's also beautiful because it means they can see possibility where others see endings. They can find meaning even in pain, and that's what gives them resilience. Because to a deep thinker, even suffering is information. It teaches them about themselves, about the world, about truth. But maybe the hardest part of being a deep thinker is learning when to stop thinking. When to let go of needing to understand everything, when to accept that some answers don't exist yet. Because meaning, no matter how much we chase it, is something we create, not something we find. And that's the quiet irony. The same mind that searches endlessly for truth, eventually learns that peace isn't in answers, it's in presence. It's in sitting beneath a sky that doesn't explain itself but still feels infinite. It's in learning to live with questions and still feel complete. Because maybe that's the final stage of deep thinking. Not knowing more but needing less. Not analyzing everything to death, but understanding that depth isn't about drowning in thought. It's about seeing clearly enough to float. You can usually recognize a deep thinker not by what they say, but by the spaces between their words. That pause before they speak, where their mind is filtering through layers of thought, isn't hesitation, it's precision. They're searching for the truest version of what they mean. Because words matter to them. They understand how language shapes reality, how a sentence can heal or harm. And so they speak carefully, sometimes too carefully, which can make others think they're shy or withdrawn. But the truth is, they're listening to everything. The tone, the subtext, the silence between sentences. Because to them, communication isn't just about what's said, it's about what's felt. Psychologically, this kind of awareness is tied to high empathy and pattern recognition. Deep thinkers are constantly reading emotional data. They notice micro-expressions, subtle changes in voice, tiny shifts in energy that reveal what someone's not saying out loud. That's why they can often sense when something is wrong, even when no one else can. It's not magic, it's attentiveness. They process the world like a detective of emotion, scanning for patterns that others overlook. But this kind of mind comes with a strange side effect. When you can see through things, it's hard to stay blind. You start noticing inconsistencies. How people say one thing and do another. How society glorifies happiness while hiding its pain. How perfection is an illusion we're all taught to chase. And once you start seeing that clearly, it changes how you relate to the world. You stop craving surface validation. You crave truth instead. That's why deep thinkers are often drawn to art, philosophy, writing, or solitude. Not because they're avoiding life, but because they're trying to understand it. They need spaces where their minds can stretch without judgment. They find comfort in books, in music, in long walks where thoughts can unfold freely. They might not talk much, but when they do, it's with intention. They prefer conversations that awaken something. Ideas that linger after the words are gone. But for all their insight, deep thinkers struggle with something profound: mental noise. Their thoughts don't stop. It's like standing in front of 10 radio stations, all playing at once. Each broadcasting a different frequency of memory, idea, and question. Even when they try to rest, their brain keeps rewinding, rewriting, predicting. And while most people can distract themselves with noise, deep thinkers drown in silence. Because silence amplifies everything inside, this often leads to what psychologists call rumination. The repetitive focus on problems, feelings, or mistakes. For many deep thinkers, it's not about being negative. It's about seeking resolution. Their mind wants closure, wants to understand, wants to make sense of contradictions. But not every question has an answer. And learning that can be one of their hardest lessons. There's a story about a philosopher who once said, "I think, therefore I am." It sounds profound, but for a deep thinker, it's almost a curse because thinking confirms their existence, but it can also consume it. They can think themselves into corners, analyzing love until it feels mechanical, studying fear until it becomes predictable. They can know so much about emotion that they forget to feel it. And sometimes the most difficult thing for a deep thinker to do is to simply experience life without dissecting it. But when they learn that balance, when they allow thought to serve feeling instead of replacing it, they become extraordinary. Because deep thinkers at their best are bridges. They connect logic with empathy, intellect with intuition. They can analyze pain and still hold compassion for it. They can see the flaws in humanity and still choose to love it. That's rare. That's wisdom, not just intelligence. A deep thinker doesn't see people as good or bad. They see them as stories. They understand that everyone is shaped by unseen battles, by experiences that left marks invisible to the eye. So they forgive easily. But they forget rarely. They may let go of people, but not the lessons those people taught them. They carry those lessons quietly, turning them over in their mind like stones smoothed by time. If you've ever wondered why deep thinkers often seem melancholy, it's not sadness, it's awareness. It's the understanding that beauty and loss are always intertwined, that everything we love eventually changes form. It's the acceptance that joy and grief are two notes in the same song. And feeling both at once is part of what it means to be fully alive. Psychologists sometimes call this emotional complexity. The ability to experience mixed emotions simultaneously. It's not confusion, it's capacity. Deep thinkers don't label emotions as good or bad, they see them as information. Fear tells them what matters. Sadness reveals what they value. Joy reminds them what to protect. Psychology behind deep thinkers: your brain is wired like a web, not a straight line. Your default mode network never fully switches off. It is the hub for daydreaming, self-reflection, and endless connections. Every thought links to another in elegant chaos. You master metacognition, you observe your own thinking, like a director endlessly editing a film inside your head. System 2 thinking dominates, slow, deliberate, layered analysis instead of quick instincts. Highly sensitive person traits overlap heavily, you absorb energies and emotions like a sponge. Mirror neurons fire so strongly that other people's pain becomes background noise that never fades. Empathy becomes a superpower, and a separator. You read people so well that you predict rejection before it even happens. You see the fragile seams holding relationships together, the unacknowledged shadows Carl Jung spoke of, the parts of ourselves we suppress but that grow stronger in silence. Body language: your silence speaks volumes. You take thoughtful pauses, 3 to 5 seconds before speaking, choosing words with precision like a poet. Minimal fidgeting: your focus stays inward, distractions barely register. Your gaze is observant and distant, you catch micro-expressions, the fake smile, the hidden tension, the tremor in a voice. Your posture is open yet reserved, approachable, but you maintain sacred personal space to process everything. People call you quiet or distant, but your silence is rebellion. Inside, a whole universe is running. Some side effects of deep thinking are here, like the heavy burden of being too awake. Rumination loops trap you, past events replay endlessly, what-if scenarios multiply into infinity. Anxiety spikes, depression casts a long shadow, sleep gets stolen by the mind that refuses to rest. Analysis paralysis freezes you, too many possibilities, too much meaning in every choice. Emotional burnout arrives from prolonged sensitivity, empathy fatigue, spiritual exile in a noisy world. You collapse from thinking, from caring too deeply. You crave connection, but vulnerability feels dangerous. Superficial conversations drain you, while deep ones are rare. There is a line between awareness and obsession, between curiosity and self-torment, and deep thinkers often walk it alone. Philosophy and origins of deep thinkers. This did not start in adulthood. It often begins quietly, in childhood. A small child in a dimly lit room, sitting cross-legged, drawing while voices rise behind a closed door. Hypervigilance was your survival strategy, reflection became protection, awareness became armor. When secure love felt absent, your brain filled the gaps with meaning. Socrates declared, "The unexamined life is not worth living, but the price is losing the bliss of ignorance." Kierkegaard called anxiety, the dizziness of freedom. Infinite choices make you dizzy, yet you must take the leap of faith. Nietzsche reminded us, that which does not kill us makes us stronger. Say yes to eternal recurrence, turn suffering into depth. Schopenhauer saw desire as endless striving, find temporary escape in art and music. Camus confronted the absurd, imagine Sisyphus happy, persist in rebellion against meaninglessness. The existential truth remains, you create meaning. Your depth is not the problem. The problem was believing that depth required suffering. Positive flip, your depth is rare power. Creativity flows from seeing patterns others overlook. Resilience grows because suffering becomes your teacher. Wisdom lives comfortably in gray areas, no illusions of black and white. Compassion becomes universal, you understand every story has unseen battles. Practical ways to protect yourself from overthinking, science-backed and tailored for deep minds. Peace is not the absence of thought. It is the art of not believing every one of them. Your mind is a beautiful servant, but a terrible master. Here are ways to reclaim control. Set a fixed worry or rumination time, 10 to 20 minutes daily. When thoughts intrude, say, "Not now, we discuss this at 7 o'clock." In that slot, write and analyze freely. Your mind learns thoughts are not ignored, they are processed. Pressure drops. Use the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique for instant relief. Name 5 things you see, 4 you touch, 3 you hear, 2 you smell, 1 you taste. It anchors you in the present, the loop shatters. Perfect for shower existential crises. Practice deep breathing and mindfulness anchor. 4-7-8 breathing, inhale 4 seconds, hold 7, exhale 8. Use breath as anchor, gently return when thoughts wander. Meditate 5 to 10 minutes daily, watch thoughts like passing clouds, let them go without grabbing. Challenge thoughts with cognitive behavioral therapy reframing. Write the thought, "I said something boring, now they dislike me." Ask, what evidence? Alternative explanation? Balanced view? Worst/best/most likely outcomes? Catastrophizing shrinks. Distraction through purposeful action. Walk, exercise, endorphins interrupt the spiral. Engage hobbies, draw, play music, organize. Call a friend, human connection breaks isolation. Shift from dwelling to solution-focused thinking. Ask, what is in my control? Take one small step. Make to-do lists for worries with deadlines. Practice self-compassion and name your thoughts. Label them, this is the rejection loop again. Say kindly, I see you, but I choose not to engage right now. Speak to yourself as you would to a friend in pain. Accept and let go, stoicism meets mindfulness. Start small, 1 or 2 practices. Neuroplasticity means your mind can reshape itself. If needed, seek cognitive behavioral therapy or metacognitive therapy. If you are a deep thinker, you are the philosopher of sleepless nights, the existentialist in the shower, the poet of silence. Your mind was never the problem. You were never too much, only too awake in a world afraid of its own reflection. True intelligence is not endless analysis, it is presence. Wisdom is not knowing more, it is needing less. Your depth is a rare light in this shallow world. By channeling it, you turn the quiet storm into quiet strength. Tell me in the comments if this resonates. Shower existential crisis is my daily routine. The 3 o'clock at night loop. I tried 5 4 3 2 1, it worked. You are not alone. We are all living deeply. And that depth makes us beautifully, painfully human. End screen. Subscribe if your nights are filled with thoughts. Share with someone who understands the quiet storm.